Hello everyone and welcome to Annihilate the Spance. I'm Luke AP, one of the 3 developers of ATS. Alright, let me show you around the level editor. So, in the editors menu, under maps, go to local maps, and click create map. Good, you've now got a new map. Simple. Go here, edit normal. Welcome to the level editor. Alright, the level editor is very powerful and we've built the entirety of ATS using it. Every single campaign mission, excluding the first 2 tutorials, were built exclusively with the level editor and every single feature within it. If we've done it in the campaign level, you can do it in here. Although, it's a little bit finicky and sometimes we do some interesting tech. But you're always welcome to come and ask us questions on the Discord, pop me a message, whatever you like. I'm always happy to help. Alright, let's see if I can show you. I'm not the best speaker, so try to keep up with me. I apologize in advance. But let's try to make a simple mission where you have yourself, Holtz, against an opponent. Let's say Karis. Alright, first things first. What am I looking at? On the very left of the menu, or of the screen, is your unit palette. This contains every single unit in the entire game sorted by faction. So, we're currently in the environmental faction. This is where we have matter asteroids and big rocks and explosions and heat explosions and scanners and all sorts of shenanigans that are useful for general map design and triggering things and kind of making things happen. As well as some debris. But we want to be able to put down a platform for the player and we'd like to have an opponent. So, let's go to faction. Click the drop down. You can see Kantalan, Valkyrie, Tychon, Ardora forms, Iron Legion, Kantalan civilians, and Independents. Everything is in here, except the things that we developers have not yet finished for people to use. If you see stuff in the campaign and it's not on the level editor, it's because it's not quite ready. Anyway, let's pick the Kantalan. They're a nice, basic enough faction. Scroll all the way down. It is ordered by ships, then yards, then turrets, and then finally utilities and command platforms. Let's pick the good old basic platform K35. In fact, no. You know what? We're going to go with the platform K90. We're going to go with a nice big platform. Alright. Now, whenever you click this, it's going to put it on your mouse. You can click anywhere as many times as you want. Put it down. Q and E will rotate. Let's scroll up a bit. Let's grab a starship. Let's say a Solgasonder. And you can see Q and E will rotate it. If you hold Shift and Q and E, you can rotate it by tiny amounts. If you want to clear your mouse, right click. If you've put down too many things, you can press R on them. And if you put it down in the wrong place, just click and drag. Normal behavior stuff. Alright. If you want to get it back in your hand, press B. And now it's back in your hand. B for clone or duplicate. The name's been a bit in development. I'll put it that way. You can close that. Right click to clear your mouse. Alright, so we have a platform, but it's white. And this thing in the top left says Team White Environmental. This is the team drop-down. Click it, and you'll see Environment, U, and Autonomous Infuriation. There are currently 3 teams created in this map by default. We can click U. And now, if we grab something out of the palette and put it down, it'll be blue. That'll be your color. We're going to remove that. If you have a team selected, say your team, mouse over something and press T, will set it to your team. Nice. The team you currently have selected. There's also the other team added by default, Autonomous Infuriation, your AI opponent. You can also apply it, press T, set it to the opponent's team. Or put down some yards for the opponent. Here's some little yard L1s for fun. We don't need any of these. So, okay, fine, there's some pre-built teams. In the top left, there's the Teams tab. In here you can configure teams, so we can rename you to Junior. We can rename Autonomous Infuriation to Holtz. We can set Holtz's color to be purple. His normal purple. And Junior to his normal aqua teal thing. Okay, cool. We have Holtz and we have Junior. Now, if we want to make sure that they're friends, we need to make sure they are on the same alliance. But there are some special alliance codes you need to be aware of. They're listed on the right here. -1, hate everyone. -2, forced to passive. -3, forced defensive. For our purposes, we're going to set Junior to Alliance ID 1, and Holtz to alliance ID 1. They're both now on the same alliance ID, and it's a positive number. They'll be friends with each other. Fantastic. We can now create another team. This is Autonomous Infuriation again, but we're just going to call it Karis. Karis, we're going to put on alliance ID 2. Although we could leave him on alliance ID 1, he would fight us either way. Let's put him on ID 2 in case we want to give him some friends later. And we're going to put Karis to his nice Valkyrie green. A somewhat dark green. Good. Alright. Don't have to worry about any of the rest of this for now. These are all more advanced settings that you may find use of in certain scenarios. Feel free to come and ask on the Discord to inquire about more advanced stuff, or read the little thing on here. It tries to explain as best it can. I have tried to annotate my editor, but I'm not perfect at explaining things. Alright, let's click Done. And now, you'll notice that Holtz now controls this platform. We don't want Holtz to control it. We'll go back to Junior, go over this, press T, set the team back to Junior's team. We can now go click over to Holtz's team and give Holtz a Valkyrie platform. Let's scroll all the way down to the Valkyrie, grab a mobile field command, and bang. Now we have Junior and Holtz. Let's move them a little bit apart so that their build areas aren't overlapping. Very nice. Alright, let's add in our opponent. I'm going to go to Karis, and let's go back to the Kuntalan and give Karis a little K35 platform. Alright. Well, in fact, give him a few. Why not? Alright. Actually, no. I don't want him to have Kuntalan. Let's give him some Tycon. Where is this? Let's use the Work in Progress Fortress. It looks pretty cool. There we go. Karis is now Tycon. Don't ask questions. It somehow happened. Okay, so now we've got 3 command platforms in the game, 1 for each team. Now, this isn't necessary. You, of course, don't need to have a platform. We could take away Karis' fortress and just give him a chassis. He doesn't need to have anything for him to, in air quotes, exist. We could also remove the chassis entirely and have Karis be sending in a whole bunch of legionaries to try and attack us. You can press G on the keyboard or turn off ship lock to gain free place, and then you can put things around a little bit nicer, but I'm going to press G and keep them on the grid so that we can make them all nicely aligned. R, 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 B, place, place, place. Okay, bunch of starting ships over there. Let's go back over to the Valkyrie. Let's go to Holtz. Let's scroll down to about the midway. Here are the frigate yards, and we can put down some yards for Holtz. So he'll have these ready. Let's also give him some Gorse turrets, keep him a bit more safe against all those legionaries. And the player is going to have to build their own stuff. But for the player to be able to build their own stuff, they're going to have a loadout. In the top left is the config menu. The config menu, this is a bit weird. I don't know why this is crushed and this is long, but I'm going to fix that. That's UI stuff. On the right side, player units and unlocks. You'll notice add campaign armory. It explains itself. We'll just turn this off for now. There's also add faction default loadout. Turn on to override the loadout with the player faction's default skirmish loadout. So in the teams menu, you can set the faction of a player. This is only relevant for the player team, but you can also set it for the AIs if you would like to be funny. It doesn't make any difference. They don't really care. Still, once we're in here, we can configure the loadout ourselves manually. So we can click this, configure loadout. Let's go to the Kuntalan, and let's give the player some Kuntalan yards. All of the basic yards, as well as some logistics, some cohesion, some energy, and some more logistics. Why not? And no graviton engine, mwahahaha, and some storage. Okay, we're also going to give him some Valkyrie defenses. Give him all the Valkyrie defenses. And no, we won't give him a squadron yard. Let's go back to the Kuntalan, because I forgot we need to give them ships. Let's give them Tollies, Downs, Atarals, Alcanadors. Where is an Abrundanel and an Ecudon? Beautiful. And a Solgasonder, why not? One more heavy ship. Gritus. Barvik? Barvik. Barvik. Good. We now have a basic loadout. Well, I say basic, it's very weird, but it's a nice loadout nonetheless. The player now has a loadout. One thing I forgot, let's give the player some starting resources so they can actually build their things without having to wait a small eon. Go to teams, go to the player's team. Here we're going to see resources. Matter, let's set it to 600 and energy to 300. Okay, click done. I'm going to save in the meantime. It's always good to save, back up your work. Okay, now we could technically hop out. Select our map again, play normal. And for good or bad, face off against a whole bunch of legionaries who are going to come after us. Now this is the point where you need to remember our macro targeting. So those legionaries, if they were sitting over there, if we had just had these yards or these turrets sitting here without platforms, they wouldn't be coming here. Macro targets are very important for level design because they tell a unit where to go. Now, certain things are already macro targets, such as platforms, capital ships, and extenders. And generally in ATS, levels are designed that those are the win condition or the lose condition, so that units are always going towards the thing that wins the mission. This is very important because the player cannot directly command their units, so the objective for the mission has to be a kind of thing that can draw units towards it. So it has to be a macro target, either a platform, an extender, or a capital ship. You can also manually configure. Let's go back to the editor. So let's say that there was no platform, no Holtz platform, just a bunch of buildings here. These legionaries would sit here doing nothing, and these yards would deploy Harriers, and they would stand there doing nothing. Okay, let's say that we would like to force a structure that normally wouldn't be a macro target to be a macro target. So as a reminder, I know I've already said this twice before, but I need to hammer this in. Platforms, where is the relay buoy, extenders, and capital ships, as a Valkyrie example, are the only macro targets by default in the game. These will draw in targets from far away and are things that things will actually hunt after and attack at great range. But if we go to a unit and we press C, we open its config menu for the unit editor. This is where things get a bit complicated, and I know it's a lot of things to look at. But look all the way over here and you'll see auto is macro target. There's a little explanation on what macro targets are. We're going to set this yard to be, yes, a macro target. We're going to close it. Now, this yard can be seen from infinitely far away. Now, this has a slight performance penalty, but unless you're running thousands of macro targets, it doesn't matter. And generally, don't worry about it too much. Now, these legionaries can see the yards, but the yards can't see the legionaries. So let's go to a legionary. Go set it to macro target, yes. And now the Harriers will see the legionaries, and the legionaries will see the Harriers. Beautiful. Okay, but we are going to have macro targets in this mission because we're going to make life easier for ourselves than it currently is. We can go back to Holtz. I put that down and I was on the environmental team, so it was white, but I wanted to be on Holtz's team. Let's go back to Junior's team, go back to the Contalin, and give him back a K90. Okay, so actually I want Keris to have a command platform as well. Let's just give Keris back that Tycon Fortress of his. Let's give him some production yards. Where is the manufactory? It's right there. Put it in. Put it in. Good. There's Keris. He's building stuff. We have macro targets. Units will go towards Keris's command center. And Keris's units come towards our command centers and inevitably blow us up. So, let's give ourselves a little bit of extra help. Just a little Ekudon for fun. Why not? Actually, probably two. Okay, so this is our basic map setup, but the question is, sure, we can play this, we can put down buildings, units will know where to go, so they can go towards our opponent, the opponent will be able to come towards us. But how do we win, and how do we lose? Okay, this is where events come in. Map events are very powerful, they control basically everything there is about ATS. Add a new event, we're going to edit it, we're going to call this Win. Actually, let's start from the very beginning. Let's make a... win and lose is actually easier to explain. We'll call this Win. We'll go over to Effects. none, add, effect type, big list, just look for win. You got it. Done. Perfect. You now have a win event. Now the question is, when should this event trigger? The event doesn't know. It's not magic. It can't tell when you want it to happen. So we need to tell it when to happen. The game has a system called counters, which are sort of a counter. Let's go here to triggers, add a new trigger, click edit, trigger type, set it to counter. Let's set our counter ID to 1 and our counter value to 1. So counters are a specific number rememberer, ID'd, and they can hold a value. Now we're going to check for counter ID 1 to be equal to counter value 1, to the value of 1, just to be equal to 1. I'm making sure I'm not saying this strangely, because there's many ways people have been confused about in the past. In fact, let's just say counter ID 8, counter value 3. Amazing. Done. So, if counter 8 is greater than or equal to 3, we will trigger, and win will happen. Let's go to Keras, and let's say on health below. So, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Press C on the target or double click, open the unit editor menu. At the bottom is the unit events list. These are very powerful. They can do quite a lot of things to units. From arriving to exploding to disabling to moving the camera to them, etc. One of the fundamental unit events is on health below add counter. So, when your health is at 0%, the unit has died. Let's say 50%. Keras is a little bit of a coward. We'd like him to give up when he's halfway damaged. When he's halfway damaged, he's going to add 3 to counter 8. Perfect. Now, when counter 8 is at 3, the event will trigger and we will win. Beautiful. Very simple. And close that. Let's go make it an event for losing. Edit this. Lose. Add a trigger. And let's say counter 2 at 1. And let's go to the effects. Add lose. Done. Perfect. Now we go over to the player's platform. Press C. Go to the unit events. On health below, add counter 2, 1. Same for halts. 2, 1. If either of them blow up, they will add 1 to counter 2. The event will see that counter 2 has value 1. Or if both of them blow up, counter 2 would be at value 2. And trigger lose. Perfect. So now we could technically save, exit, and play. Oh, my back. Oh, let me sit that back a little bit better. Now our Echidons are going to charge forward. We can build some shenanigans. Put it to 2 times speed. And everything will happen. Now, if I do left shift, right shift, backslash, this activates Spance Box. Spance Box is a debug system that you will find quite useful. You can give yourself resources, you can heal targets, you can destruct any team in the game. Ah, Holtz got blown up, we lost. Oh no, task failed. I was going to blow up Keras. He beat me to it. Alright, nice, good, so you can actually play. But you'll notice our camera just starts in the middle of the map somewhere. It's not going to start at our platform, because who's to say where you want your camera to be? Let's go back to the menu. Go to the level. Go to the map. Edit normal. Alright, let's set up a camera event. So put yourself nice and precisely over your command platform, wherever you want your player camera to be. I mean, I could put it here if I wanted to. Let's make this somewhat cinematic. Now, at the top right, you can see your camera information. Oh, I'm sorry, the zoom button is behind the zoom information. The settings button is behind the zoom information. That's unfortunate. Anyway, I added the settings button in very recently. So, this is some nice information to just see, so you can see what your camera value is at any time. You get a little bit of a feel for what certain numbers mean. Put your camera in a nice place. Or, in fact, if you would like to center over a platform, look at the platform. In the bottom left, you can see the actor's information, such as height and position. Mouse over it, you can see it's at height -100 meters, position -16, -1, -20 Z. So, -16, and -20. Let's go to events, make a new event, call this the start event. Not going to give it any triggers, it doesn't need any, we want it to run the moment the map happens. Go to event, effects, edit it. Now go all the way down until you can find camera move all. Camera move all, click use camera value, so this will use exactly what our camera was looking at. Camera move all allows us to just move a camera, gently moving it through space and nicely. We can give it things a delay. Effects can have a delay before they happen. In the case of the camera, we have positions. So we know we're at -16, -20. Fine with the Y being 0. We're going to set our zoom to 20. Our rotation and our pitch. We clicked use camera values, so it's currently using our camera position exactly as we are looking. Let's go to view just so we can see where we are. Perfect. Nice. I'm going to hit Shift R, which will just reset our camera. Go back to events, go start. I just want to even out the camera a little bit, so nice. 0, 45. Perfect. Alright, so now the camera will start over the platform. But let's say we want to also... Well, I'm just going to duplicate this event. Let's say we also want to then zoom over to Keris. Put ourselves over here. Effects, or events, start. This other camera one, use camera values. We're going to give this a delay of 5. We want it to happen 5 seconds after the event is triggered, which will be the very start of the map. And we want it to spend 3 seconds moving there, so it will be done by 8 seconds. Click done. And we want Keris to say something. Let's have Keris say something. Let's put this, and we're going to say communication ID 3. Now, we haven't made communication 3 yet, but we can still enter its ID because we're going to make it. Click done, done, and now we can go to the comms menu. Comms menu, create new communication. We're going to call this start 1. We're going to ID it as 3. I'm going to tell it to pause the game and not have any pause backing. So we can see Keris' base and the lead generates nicely. Create new. In fact, I'll leave the pause backing on. It's nice to have the dark pause backing for contrast. So now we can create a communication. Here's a preview of what it will look like. We can say Keris. Keris' portrait ID is 9. And we're going to say, oh ho ho, look who it is. Is now the yellow plate merc and his pet project. Thank you, Keris. Click the update preview button. There you go. You can see Keris being funny. Now, if we want a character to refer to the player by name, we can use angle brackets and say player. Now, if we go update preview, we'll see player name. This will, of course, be whatever the player's name is when they're playing the mission. You can also use capital player to make it all capital. Perfect. We don't need Keris to shout. Player, are you really here again? I don't know. Whatever. Who knows what the context of this mission is? And then we can have Holt say something. Hey, greaseball. Good to see you. How about you surrender this time? Thanks, Holtz. Click done. Done. Let's go back to our events. Go back to start. Let's add another event to lock the player until we're done with our little cinematic. So you can go player lock, find the effect type, player lock. Add another one for player unlock, and we'll give this a delay of 8 seconds. So the communication 3 will trigger at 8 seconds because we gave it a delay. Oh, I didn't actually give it a delay. We want to give this a delay of 8 seconds because this camera move is going to wait 5 seconds and then move 3, so it'll be done moving the camera at 8 seconds. We'll play our communication at 8 seconds, and we'll unlock our character actually at 10 seconds because we're going to move the player's camera back. Actually, I'm going to duplicate the starting of the one, drag this, don't get confused, it's very easy to get confused. Edit this, I'm going to say after 8 seconds and a duration of 2, move the camera back to this starting version. So we duplicated the starting camera position, put it here, gave it a delay, so it's going to start, your camera view will start here, then it'll move you to Keris, then it'll move you back. Beautiful, after some delays. Delays, by the way, just to be perfectly clear, are from the moment the event started. They have no relation to previous effects. I could give this a delay of 1, and it would happen 1 second after the effect started, or after the event fired, before anything else. Anyway, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Put this to 8. And now we'll move, have camera unlock, do all sorts of things. Let's save. Double check that it works. Oh, the camera's definitely locked. Waiting for 5 seconds. Moving. And playing a comm. Oh ho ho, look who it is now. The Yellow Plate Mercan's pet project. Pauli really here again. And it's my name. Nice. Hey, Greaseball, good to see you. How about you surrender this time? Sure, Holtz. And then we'll move back, and the camera will unlock. Beautiful. Perfect. Nice and professional, like any proper ATS map. Now, just play normally in a sense, but let's go finalize our little map. So, top left, config. Let's give our map a name. Let's call it Bird Fight. Caresses of the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie are named after birds. Call it Bird Fight. It's funny. What can we do? We already have a loadout. We already have everything. Player's task. Capture Keris. And we'll just say, Keris has been hiding in a well, most of the Spance is uninhabited, so there's not really much of a difference. Has been hiding in a quiet, still zone at the edge of Fortune's progress. Hunt him down for justice. Hunt him down, whatever. I'm not writing campaign quality descriptions here. We're just trying to get some fun. Save. Good. And we basically now have everything we need. Except there's a little bit of polish we can still do. Go to the player's platform. Now you'll notice I left a 5-second delay before the camera started moving. That's because if we go C, we can change how a platform arrives. So let's go to Arrival, and we can select the Warp type. There's Arrive, Warp, Depart, and Construct. Depart, you can ignore. It doesn't work for Arrival, but it's still here. Construct is useful for normal buildings, but you can technically put it on anything, including ships and things. They won't have a visual for it, but you can put it on them. Let's set our platform to warp in. Duration of 5, a speed of 5. This is very standard for the entire campaign, a duration of 5 and a speed of 5. We're going to set its Arrive style to Rise Vertical Turn. So there's Rise, which just means it'll come right up as it does in most of the ATS campaign. Rise Vertical Turn means it'll start out vertically rotated and then rise and flatten out. Slide In is nice for starships and things. We'll Rise Vertical Turn because it looks funny. We'll go to our Echidons, we'll press C, we'll make them also warp 5. Actually, we want them to come in a little bit earlier, so we'll say duration of 4, speed of 6. We want them to go being faster. Slide In. Now, we've configured this Echidon, and we don't want to have to go and re-enter it here. So what we can do is use copy data and paste data. Press Z on the Echidon, press X on the other Echidon, and now we have pasted one actor's information to another. Very useful. Okay, great. So that's kind of interesting. I need to teach you about linked events. Yes, let's do linked events. Let's say that Holtz is going to call himself in a Valkyrie, and not the appeal to reason, an Irie. Let's say Holtz is going to call in an Irie. We want this Irie to show up after a little bit of time, so we can go to it, press C. I'm actually going to copy the Echidon's arrival settings because I like them. I'm going to open up the Irie, and we're going to give it a delay of 30 seconds. So this is the delay since the start of the map, effectively. So that's one way of doing it. We can just give it a simple delay. But we actually wanted to trigger after a certain event. Let's go in here. Let's call it Irie on the way. Let's give it a trigger of map time. Let's call it 15 seconds. We're going to call a communication. Communication 4, which I'm going to write quickly soon. And we're going to ID this as ID 4. Done. Done. So that's event number 4. Go to the IRE. We're going to change linked event to 4. So now we are linked event 4 with a 30-second delay. So when linked event 4, so when event 4 fires, when event 4 is triggered after 15 seconds of the map, the IRE will wait 30 seconds and then be spawned. So the IRE will actually only come in at 45 seconds in map time. So you can have something spawn in with an event and then have a delay or not have a delay or what have you. Linked events are very powerful. They're the foundation of pretty much every, reinforcement or surprise moment throughout the campaign. Let's add our comm. Communication 4. IRE arriving soon. We don't need to pause the game because this isn't entirely critical for the player to realize. Holtz is going to say this. In fact, we can have Sphinx chime in. Thank you, Sphinx. Sphinx's ID is 4. Player. I have requested the assistance of a coalition IRE. They will arrive, or it will arrive momentarily. Thank you, Sphinx. ETA, 30 seconds. Now, let's put 30 seconds in orange so that the player is more likely to notice it. You can do orange, you can do yellow, you can do a number of other colors. Boop. ETA, 30 seconds. Excellent. Thank you, Sphinx. I appreciate this. Now let's go to the event. IRE on the way. Communication 4 will play immediately. After 15 seconds, this event will fire, the communication will fire, and then 30 seconds later, the IRE will arrive. Perfect. And there you go. That's actually the fundamentals of making most maps in this entire game. It's not overly complicated, luckily. There's a few more advanced tactics and other things you can learn to do that, can fandangle interesting scenarios to happen. But that's really the fundamentals. From here, go and experiment with different things. You also have target priority multipliers. Macro target priority, for instance, we can guarantee that Karis is going to come after Holtz first, but will prefer to shoot Junior's units. So we can give Holtz a macro priority of 2, but Junior a targeting priority of 2. Lots of little interesting complexities. I'm not going to go over them too much. You'll just have to figure them out by trial and error. Because if I try to explain too much, it's probably just going to be forgotten. I want Karis to have a unique glow, though. We're going to give him a green glow, and we're actually going to give him some... no, we'll leave him with green. We'll give him a red glow, a nice strong red glow, and we'll save that. It will not visually update here, but we'll see it in the mission. Alright. Now finally, I'd like it if Holtz built some stuff. Let's press C on his command fragment to open the unit editor, and at the bottom right we'll see no AI assigned. Change command AI. In here is every command AI used in the entire game. You can even go and look at the Cradell campaign and use Westnet's build order or Darkot's. We're going to set him... In fact, yes, let's set him to Darkot's build order, just for the fun of it. So Valkyrie will now build a Kuntalan base. Actually, no. Let's set him to the Kuntalan Steady Fleet Marshal. The Steady Fleet Marshal, Kuntalan Steady Fleet Marshal, is the default skirmish AI for skirmish. Alright. Let's give Holtz some starting resources as well, so his AI can build things. I would give Karis an AI, but the Tycon don't. Their buildings work differently, and so the other AIs do not work on them, unfortunately. However, we could always be cheeky and give the Tycon Valkyrie a few relay buoys. And now suddenly he does have space. And now we can set him to a Valkyrie Assault Commander. Go to Teams, give Karis 300 matter, 300 energy. Done. Save. Done. Let's, we noticed that Holtz got rather blasted, didn't we? So let's, make him not get as destroyed quickly. Pardon me. Save that. Anything else I need to do? Nah, I think it's fine. Also, so we've noticed that all these things are pretty much at the same height. If you hold Alt, click and drag something, you can change its height. Just remember, the maximum world height is 7. So this Echelon is at maximum world height. Because it's at maximum world height, or in fact if it's above it, it will be forced down. Same with an Echelon that's too low. It'll be forced up. You can also grab buildings and drop them down or drop them up, although the game won't necessarily be too happy with it if you drop them too low, especially yards, although there's not really much stopping you, or making them too high. If a building is too high or too low, it won't take up grid space, so you could have this and this and this all over a player's base, and the player would be able to build underneath them without any problems. In fact, let's leave that there just because it looks really funny. Let's go back to the environmental team and let's add some matter deposits for the player to mine. There we go. We've now made the most weird, skunky little map imaginable. Exit the editor, bird fight, and hit play normal. Beautiful, and everything slides and warps in, does weird stuff, and we'll zoom over there, we'll see Karis, he'll talk down to us, Holtz will call him silly, and we'll go blow up things. How beautiful. Welcome to Annihilate the Spance. I'm going to spam tollies. Powell, I've requested the assistance of a coalition IRI. It will arrive momentarily. ETA 30 seconds. Thank you, Sphinx. And now we'll wait for our IRI to pop in as we spam a bajillion tollies and downs. Holtz, don't die, please. IRI should arrive in 5 seconds as of now. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Ooh, hello, IRI. Good to see you. Very nice. And Karis is over there trying to build a base. Alright. That's been 37 minutes. I think that's good enough for a basic tutorial. Covers pretty much everything you'd need to know. Holtz is over here building Kontalin forces. Karis is building Valkyrie from a Tychon base. Very amusing stuff. There's a whole bunch of extra, more advanced things that you can do to certain units, disabling them or doing whatnot. But everything is generally tool-tipped and explained in the editor. Again, if there's anything you want to do or find confusing, etc., please come and check on the Discord server. There's plenty of people, plenty of custom mappers who will help you out, as well as myself. Although I'm not generally that available because I have to work on ATS. But I try to help. There you are. All right. Thank you very much. And until next time, good luck.